Who knows? Brooklyn's probably taking a nap. Good night, nurse.
Oh, he did say he was taking a nap, didn't he?
He
did.
He did. He did. He did. I see Project Sidechick is now is part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm waiting for Chris Evans to hop out with the shield with a star on it.
Here's the thing, right? I didn't expect. You know how you said like the ladies love your pink shoes, right? I didn't expect. I'm used to people in the street, flag me down about Halle or Heidi, even though now it's starting to seem like I haven't driven I literally haven't driven the 850 in years. But anyway, I've seen a stark uptick in thumbs up while driving Layla, the M3, even though it's paint job by Dexter, right? But the M3 is, all intents and purposes. You guys ever watch Californication? I think of it like what's his name? Robert Duchovny, whatever his name is, Duchovny from X-Files. He plays a drunk, philandering author in this show Californication. And in literally the first or second episode, he meets a woman while he's buying beer. He meets a young woman and she takes him back to her house and he's sleeping with her, and her boyfriend shows up and catches Duchovny. He runs out of the house and the dude hits his 964. He has a black Porsche 964, hits his 964 convertible and breaks the front, breaks the headlamp. And he drives around for literally the rest of that season with the broken headlamp. Anyway, that's what I feel like.
That's a long, bring that around town.
I'm bringing that around because that's what I feel like when I'm driving the M3. The M3 is a cool car, but I know mine is not in good condition. And I feel like I'm driving a cool car that is, beat up, right? But people, especially young folks, emphatically give me thumbs up. And I'm like, this raggedy thing, but this raggedy thing is still a 95 M3 on staggered contours. It's lowered. It is a cool car. It could be in much better condition, but it's a cool car. Right. Anyway, driving the Sidechick, it's a cool car and it's a beautiful car, but I'm still surprised that people of driving all kinds of things, because you're never driving your cool car when you see another one. But people are really super excited and beeping their horns but yeah, so I've been doing the YouTube videos, and that the intro it got many more views than I ever expected.
Yeah,
but onto business.
Well, that's a great segue. It's S38 Fire Team. We're back, baby. Like we left something, right? So welcome, and I am your humble and gracious host, Dre Zoom, and I'm here with my two best friends, Adam Armour, Slick Top City Mirror. Introduce yourself for the people again.
Hello, everyone. This is Adam from Slick Top City, and I just love building my dream cars.
That's it. That's what I like to hear. I got Brooklyn Taylor, my other brother from another mother. Talk to the people.
Finger guns. Hey, Brooklyn Taylor here from Brooklyn Taylor Tech, and happy to be with you. Always happy to argue about cars with these Marines. Hoorah.
All right. Well, listen. Yeah. So what are we doing this week? We got a real special one. I like to think it's real special as many motorheads and car guys and the ilk can, we grew up in the print media days where it was a lot of magazines and car brochures and Auto Trader. I remember when Auto Trader was a thick sales, flip through it and circle all the cars that you want. So one particular, and you'll hear me mention it often, is in referring. But let me pause for a second. Can we get a t-shirt check? What are we working with? What? I got the company shirt on today. Where are you at, Adam? Let Adam.
We're working with the
yeah. All right, there we go.
The snail.
Gary.
40
That's
and
Gary from SpongeBob.
Yeah,
right?
this is the ghost of Project's Future.
Ghost of
Okay.
I like that.
I like that.
So you're saying that you're going to be a turbo junkie? A
I don't
boost
know about all
junkie?
that. I don't know about all that, but I'd like to have at least one.
No, that's what she said. Okay, so listen. So where are we at? So Road and Track in 1987, they did what they called the world's fastest cars, and this was a article that they wrote. This was an article that they wrote by Peter Egan. Okay, was the author, and I remember reading this magazine. Well, at least this article in this magazine, standing at the magazine section at Winn-Dixie or Albertsons or wherever I was at. And of course, I ended up buying it. But this is a collection of some of the raddest, coolest, fastest, wickedest cars from the 1980s. And, you know, just even today, looking back at the performance numbers, very comparable to, you know, granted, some, you know, mid-level sports cars can attain some of these numbers, but the top speed, the raw acceleration, and just the presence of these cars is nearly unmatched in terms of just what it meant back then and how it presents itself now. It really lived on. It never really died. You don't look back at those numbers and be like, that's nothing. You know, these numbers are pretty crazy for cars of the 80s. Not only that, just the visual presence of these cars means so much to the, you know, the Radwood movement and the appreciation that these cars have today. Road and Track, this is one of my favorite automotive articles out of any magazine, and this is why I shared it with Adam in Brooklyn. They've, you know, we've talked about it before, but we want to bring it to the people. We want to bring it to you and see if anybody else out there remember this. And Adam, what did you think of this week's assignment?
It was a challenge for me. It seems like I should have had an easy choice, given my previous proclivities to favorite supercars, but I really had to think and think and think, and then I stopped thinking and I just went with my gut, went Elemental, and yeah, I'm happy with my choice, and I hope I can present it in a good way.
I'm sure you will, as you always do. You always go for, hey, what's the best economy car? And Adam's like, a Geo Metro with a turbine engine. That's what you want. That's how Adam usually picks. Brooklyn, you are a you know, you need no introduction when it comes to 80s supercars. What did you think of this week's assignment?
I think that this is a dream assignment for all three of us. We have been debating about the supremacy of each of these automobiles since we met each other, and before we met as children. I'm sure we were arguing with whoever we could, whoever cared. Like, I think that's one of the reasons that we're all such good friends, is because we really care about this stuff. And these cars were all iconic. Like, everything on that list is iconic. I made my choice immediately, but that's not to say it's an easy choice, because I have been thinking about it, you know, for decades. So it's a great assignment. This is going to be a great episode of the podcast, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun.
All right, and with that, we'll hop right into it. So, like I said, I already really kind of talked about how much this particular article, which I'm glad that Road and Track was able to archive it, and it's available online. I'm going to share the link and share the screen here in a second. Again, this is just a laundry list of the who's who of 80s mega performers, top cars, and the variety in engines and approaches. It's just phenomenal, and it's just amazing, and I love it. The article starts off, this is the catch line, right? This is how they start the whole thing off by saying, let me see if I can get it popped up here. They started off by, in 1987, the world's fastest cars couldn't catch a 211 mile per hour twin turbo rough. And the rough is front and center, flanked by a Ferrari Testarossa and a Porsche 995 in angel white. That's what I call it, because that thing came from heaven. And if you look closely, you'll see a Lamborghini Countach right behind the rough 911, which rough roof, depends on what side of the globe you come from. But the 911, or I'm sorry, the Lamborghini Countach in 1987, there wasn't visually a more, if you just thought hypercar, supercar, the Lamborghini Countach is a car that was on, you would see it in a math book, right? In a physics book, in a algebra book. Why? Because the car had this acceleration. It looked like it was from the future. It had all of these things, and you could teach a lesson behind just so many things going on with that car. But it's right there beside a 4-door AMG. And this was AMG before they turned into AMG. You know what I mean? This is like
a badge.
You know what I mean? This is like AMG. Like, hey, that's my G. You know what I
don't
mean?
think they even had a badge back then. I think they just
they ran naked as far as I know. So
pre-merger, they were badged. But
I think you could order them debadged. Like this one, I don't think was badged. Yeah, it didn't even have
that was pre-merger AMG.
Pre-merger. This is the, and on that note, just kind of scrolling down. This is one of my favorite photos right here, where it's just all the cars lined up in this semi-U shape. I'm probably gonna butcher the name of this car. It's Isdera Impera. I think that's it. That's using my best Spanish, European.
Yeah, the fake accent helps when you're trying to pronounce things you can't pronounce.
I know. But it's got the gold wing.
Como se dice?
¿Dónde? But it's got the gold wing, and amazing. That's a flex, right? That's a flex right there, where you have your wings up, your doors up, and everybody else has just got regular doors for the most part, besides the Countach, obviously. So
why was there no Ferrari F40 in this shootout?
So great question, and I'll be more than happy to answer that. So the Ferrari F40 was probably, at this time, this was in May of 87. Well, it says 1987. The Ferrari F40 was just barely probably getting into production, right? It wasn't readily available. And I'm going to tell you how I know that is because the Ferrari GTO, the Ferrari F40 has the engine from the GTO, because the GTO was a homologation special, right? With the box fenders, the twin turbo V8. So the Ferrari F40 had the internals, at least the engine. I'm not sure about the transmission. I don't know if some Ferrari buffs out there can correct all of that, but the Ferrari GTO was the top-notch, the fastest car Ferrari had, along with the Testarossa. So the F40 wasn't there yet.
I'm sure that they have the same drivetrain, but the F40 got closer to 200 miles per hour, like 199 or 198.
Yeah, the F40 was, and then of course it was all carbon fiber as well.
Right.
So
I bet they just couldn't get their hands on one.
Purpose built, probably more than the GTO anyway. Purpose built more than the GTO.
Right. It was more purpose built. So I kind of asked the guys I asked Brooklyn and Adam, just like pick your favorite car and kind of talk about why. I'll go first. This is a hard choice. I'm not going to go with the obvious. The roof was the winner with 211 miles an hour, which is fast today. And, I don't care even if a Bugatti, I know Bugatti can top 260 miles an hour, or even faster. You know, I haven't kept up with it in many other supercars, but 211 miles an hour is, you know, that's a cheap plane. You know, that's very, very fast for 87. The car that I really, and I always have had a soft spot for, and let me go back up here, I think they show it, is the Ferrari Testarossa. Okay. You're talking about a, you know, we as car guys, we all love Porsches, and the sound that the flat six makes, right? Nobody likes Subarus and the way their boxer sounds, but a Porsche flat six sounds great. Double that, okay? A flat 12, and it's so evident by the way that the rear is constructed. It's a flat 12, so it's got these wide hips, you know. And so when you have a rear track that is wider than your front track, it just automatically lends to a commanding presence. I just always, even as a kid, my most prized Hot Wheel was a Ferrari Testarossa. It was a white one. It had the speed turbo wheels on it or something like that, and it was white, just like on Miami Vice. You know, the Crockett and Tubbs, and he had the white Testarossa. And just, and I'm gonna read the part of the article that really just encapsulates and just really embodies what it is to have a flat 12 behind you. Let me see if I can find it here. But again, you think about what it sounds like to have a flat six at full tilt, but then to have have it at almost 200 miles an hour. You're not going to get anything better than that. And I want to say somewhere right in here, they mention, at any rate, I'll share the article, I'll highlight it. But they said the flat 12, there was like nothing that could replicate that sound of the flat 12. And this is right behind you, or, you know, it's here, you know, it's not in front of you. It's just right here, mid-engine. Ferrari Testarossa, I think it went 186 miles an hour. Like that. Yeah, the Ferrari GTO hit 179, 185 miles an hour. And the last thing I'll say is this: I just can't imagine dumping the clutch on this Ferrari, you know, producing the blue smoke from the tires. You know, that was an expensive day by any stretch of the imagination. But Ferrari Testarossa, it's red, it's Italian, gated shifter, flat 12, you know, wide rear track. What more could you want in a supercar? What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's an amazing car. Yeah, as long as I've known you, you've always raved about it and loved it. The cars are visually stunning, iconic, childhood memory, core memory of watching Miami Vice for the first and the 500th time. You know, it was the iconic 80s car, and to think now that that it had the muscle to back it up, right? And it had 12 cylinders of fury. You know, those exotic cars are exotic for a reason, right? You see the videos, the iconic videos of whenever someone has to back up a Lamborghini Countach and they're literally hanging out of the car to back it up. You know, they're inconvenient. You're like, they're beautiful and inconvenient, and impractical, right? They're supermodel status. So yeah, the Testarossa is a great choice.
Adam, your thoughts?
I couldn't agree more. What a great pick. I think it's also fair to point out that in the 90s, after this car kind of went out of production, that there were body kits galore of cars, you know, taking those side strakes or side inlets, if you want to call them, of the Testarossa and putting them on whatever you could find, really.
Everything. S10 pickups, everything.
Right. So I think that you know, nothing says love like, you know, biting off a classic design. And I think that the Testarossa, along with its V12 engine, much like you're pointing out here with this splendid riding, it's you know, it's just otherworldly.
Yeah, and you know, this is the excerpt that I wanted to find, and it says, but for sheer music on the track, there was nothing like the flat 12 operatic tenor of the Testarossa. Being able to ride in this marvelously strong and stable feeling car while the engine hovered at redline for minutes at a time, holding that single sustained note was about as sublime as a pleasure as can ever be expected from a car made by mortals. So again, I
let me say, as my twin would say, not to cut you while cutting you off. Let me say that this is the road and track article. This is the peak of of automotive journalism. When, like, you know, we all cut to flashbacks of the three of us as children before we knew each other, and we're all reading this magazine at the same time in different parts of the country, and we're all just like, there was no internet, so we're transported to that track via this road and track magazine, and we couldn't be unless we were at the track. We could practically smell the tire smoke. You know, that's how good the writing was, and the photography. I mean, I can't say enough. That's
well, this is what I do want you to say. I want you to share with us what you thought was the, you know, what's your favorite in this article.
All right, so I'm going to do the memento thing and go back and forth. What happened? So picture it. It's December
19.
Right. It's December 2nd, 2018. I'm in Beverly Hills, California. You know, my good friend Adam and his wife Heather are there, and I have been surprised with a tour of the Peterson Museum, Beverly Hills, LA's famous Peterson Museum, Peterson Automotive Museum. So we all, you know, we enter the museum, we turn around, and right there is the world famous Roof Yellowbird. And this thing, I've always loved this car. I had no idea it would be there. It's a vision. Will Dre in his you know, his never-ending quest to make me look foolish on the podcast will drop in the photos and edit here. So this car is a sight to behold even today, right? 29 cars were made. Only the first car had the NACA ducts on the, you know, visible in the photos. If you pull that up, had the NACA ducts on the rear. All the other cars have the vents in the back bumper and everything, but they don't have the NACA ducts. Anyway, this car is a vision. It's beautiful. It's amazing. But more importantly, it came out swinging and defeated the titans of industry, right? Roof at the time was a small shop. They're still a small shop comparatively, but they are an automotive manufacturer in Germany. What they did was they started with the 3.2 Carrera, just like our friends Dan, you know, Craig and Tim have owned or still own, right? Started with that 80s 3.2 Carrera. They did not start with the wide body 930 turbo. They started with the narrow body 3.2 Carrera, and they reworked the engine and put two turbos when Porsche was running only one. They created such a fast and smooth and powerful and sophisticated version of the 911, because it's not a 911, it's a Roof CTR. The Roof CTR was so incredibly fast that it took over 20 years for a factory Porsche to match the quarter mile time. It took 32 years for a factory Porsche, I believe the GT2 RS, for a factory Porsche to match the speed of that quarter mile time. So from 1987, it took 32 years for Porsche, the makers of the foundational 911, to catch up certain aspects of the performance. And, you know, Alois Roof drove the car there, spanked, you know, all the trailer queens, and then drove home, right? And that's just relating to this article, to say nothing of the most famous car video of all time, the roof,
right? YouTube,
you know,
on the ring,
on the ring with the driver in penny loafers, you know, and jeans and socks, you know, no fireproof suit, no helmet, just sliding, just drifting the Yellowbird around and around. Like if YouTube was out in the 80s, that thing would have had, you know, 100 million views. Like it would be, you know, you couldn't have in the automotive world, you couldn't have a joint Taylor Swift Beyonce concert that would be more popular than you know, than what this car achieved with those videos.
Yeah.
But that's my choice. I love this car. I love the technology. I don't know if I could physically fit in it. No, I've driven 3.2 Carrera, so I could physically fit in this, depending on what the seat setup was. But that car is everything. I mean, and if he didn't choose to paint it yellow, everything would have still been iconic. But the fact that, you know, the audacity of this car being that bright, that boisterous, and because a lot of those cars, well, almost every car there, save the AMG sedan, every car there says, "I'm the boss," you know, "I'm the big guy," right? Or if parked by themselves, every car there is, you know, outlandish. They're all exotics. But what they were able to do with that, what that small company was able to do against Titans, is epic.
So you're saying it's a David and Goliath scenario?
Absolutely, 100%.
Adam, agree or disagree?
It's a legend for sure. I don't discount that, and I cannot express to you how happy Brooklyn was to stand next to this car in Los Angeles, and I'm happy to have, you know, gotten that photo for him, as I've gotten him with several other supercars over the years, and I know that's one of his favorite photos. And then last year when we went to Amelia and saw the roof display, I know that was just as special, even though the Yellowbird wasn't there. I know that was just as special to him. And, you know, they did have a yellow Porsche there, a yellow roof. And
yeah, I think the new version of the Yellowbird. Yeah.
Right. And it was just as stunning as this.
Yeah, it
probably was.
Yeah.
So I knew this was an easy choice for him. And, you know, speed aside, this car was just legendary. And, you know, like you said, with the video that we've all seen of that guy driving on the Nürburgring, I mean, he wasn't in a nuclear submarine. He was riding inside a warhead. Okay.
Right.
He was really like trying to tame the beast here. And thankfully for all of us, succeeding.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the Yellowbird is, I think it's a car that people don't realize how special it was at that time. Even though it had all of these benchmarks that it broke, and, you know, 211 miles an hour, and just the ingeniousness of Alice Roth back then. You know, just the vision. I always make a, not a joke, but you know, I study weird time travel stuff, and I always say, like, what if certain people, they're like, well, time travel has, you know, we can't time travel. And I'm like, what if in the future we have figured out time travel and sent people back, right? So did somebody send Alice Roof back to 1987? And he's like, I'm gonna take a narrow body Carrera and 2 turbos, and I'm going to thin the panels and do all these things. And, you know, so it's really, to put it in perspective, you're really putting, you know, that's the forward thinking that moves. Just human innovation is things that he did, you know, with that car. But
he took the rain gutters off.
Yeah, he took the rain gutters off. Like, you know, that's the kind of innovation that, you know, that gets people moving, you know, that gets, you know, that's the thing that we love about this. Adam, you're the last one here. Talk to me. What did you like, or what's your favorite car here in this article?
Okay, so in our previous conversations, we've talked about some of my favorite cars, and one of them does happen to be the 959, which was tested here and did pretty well. So that would be a natural pick for me, but I just couldn't select it. So I'm going to use a bit of an analogy. So let's just say that men like chicken. All right. So there's specific cuts of chicken that you might like better or worse. And, you know, you can pick the breast or you can pick the thigh. In this case, I had to pick the thigh. And so I picked the Lamborghini Countach. And that one shot in the article pretty much captures it.
I know my guy. He didn't tell me to share that, but I know my guy.
I saw that shot, and
Miss Fat Booty.
It was, it's just, that just says it all. So one thing that I didn't really like about this this article, which is great, by the way, the writing is superb. I'm just going to describe a little bit, or read a little bit about the Countach. It says, perhaps the most otherworldly shape of all, bristling with decks and planes and scoops like a death ship from outer space, still defining to many after all these years what an exotic car should look like. Our Countach, with its lovely V12 and long row of Weber carburetors, be still my heart, had been brought to us from the factory by a Signor Valentino, and now sat in the parking lot vying with the 2 Ferraris in a silent contest of Italian redness. This, I mean, yeah, exactly. Perfect. This writing is amazing. Perfect. And this is what we, like you said, this is what we had as kids, you know, to sort of try and capture what they were going through in that time.
Yeah. It was like a romance novel for us.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, it was.
What kind of lets us down is that the photos are a little bit grainy. All right. So they obviously took the what do you call it? They took the photos from the magazine and then posted them in this online thing. But I did happen to find a Road and Track article from just a few weeks ago, actually. Carl, are you able to bring that up, or?
I am. Give me a sec here. There we go.
Well, you might as well stick with the headline.
So we got it there.
Yep. Best kept vintage supercar secret.
Huh.
Anyway, the photography in this article is captivating.
That's a 25th anniversary.
If you'll just scroll through it a little bit.
Oh my!
I mean, these photos are just. I mean, that's
Raging Bull. Those wheels are iconic.
Yep,
the shape is iconic. It's just.
I think there's a couple more that are really good. All the photos are terrific.
Oh, that's it right there. Yeah, move that cursor. There we go.
Yeah, we call in the industry that I'm very familiar with, we call that the money shot.
Anyway, so that was my pick. Despite it not doing, not kind of standing in the shadow of the roof, And more to your point, actually, you were talking about having a time machine, and I just want to go back a few episodes to when we talked about 80s vehicles and how it was such an iconic time in automotive history. And this article that you shared, you know, the one from 1987, this speed test, and these vehicles perfectly encapsulate why I feel that way about 80s vehicles. This kind of stuff, the poster on the wall, the beautiful prose that accompanies it, just absolutely legendary stuff. And they had great material to act as their muse as well. So I picked the Lamborghini Countach, and I mean it good in any color.
Yeah, for sure. Lamborghini Countach, and you know, we've talked about it ad nauseum. We're talking about a car that really defined the supercar era, and it really brought it to prominence. Again, one of my favorite Hot Wheels as a kid was a Lamborghini Countach, and you know, you can't, even though Ferrari had, you know, the 308, the 328, they had the Testarossa, you know, De Tomaso, you know, you've had the DeLorean. All of these cars are wedge shaped, but this is the benchmark, right? This is the, you know, this is the Michael Jordan of wedge shapes. This is you know, what every other car design in the 80s, supercar design, was judged against. If you were to show this to the most disconnected person from the car world, they would be able to at least say that's a Lamborghini, you know?
Right.
And that's just how good it is. Brooklyn.
You mean like the people who designed the truck for Mr. Elon? Just kidding.
Another guy who's transformed from the future back to the present, but that's another story. That's a different podcast. Brooklyn, what do you think about the Countach?
So here's the thing. I had the Lamborghini Countach, a black one, as the poster on my wall. That poster still exists. It's in the basement of House Taylor back in New York. So that was the car, right? That was in the 80s. That was the car for all of the reasons you gentlemen expressed. It was iconic. It was the Cannonball Run car. It was just everything that was wretched excess, everything that was high performance. There is an interview from the 80s with, an executive from Lamborghini, and they're like, is the Lamborghini Countach for everybody? It was like, absolutely not. It's not for everybody. It's for a very special person, right? It is an event to this day. Anytime you put one anywhere, it is the car itself is an event. Going 5 miles per hour, it's an event. Parked, it's an event. It is that car. It is the exotic car. It's the poster child for exotic cars, right? It didn't even have to do anything, right? It had an incredible V12 engine, but it could be midway through an engine swap and the engine could be pulled out of it. Just the shape alone, it is the spaceship, right? It is more iconic than the DeLorean, which is super iconic. But the Lamborghini Countach, especially, it's really cool, the original wedge from the 70s, but as it went on, like, I love the 25th anniversary. I love the 5000S. I love the, what's that one there's like a quattro valve or something version. Yeah, they're just amazing and iconic, and they are magnets for attention. And the rear wheels How beefy are the rear tires? Are they 355s? There's something crazy.
I think they're like they're 15-inch, but they're like 285, 275s or something like that.
Yeah, but they're amazing cars. Great choices on behalf of both you gentlemen. Those cars are definitely top tier.
Well, that's you guys really speak to your personalities when you made these selections. And that's something that we are doing, is trying to, keep the hope alive with these cars and shine a light. I'm going to share the link to this article from Road and Track in the description. But please read that article. This is how, Brooklyn and Adam, we've talked about this. I'll share a link in our group chat, and we read it and we're like, what the hell is this person talking about? So many misquotes, and it's just really a disconnected piece. I always, my personal opinion is in the automotive landscape today, from an editorial standpoint, it's not car guys writing about cars. It's somebody who's just looking for a job, writing for a magazine or writing for an online publication, and they Google some stuff and they throw it together in an article, and they'll say something like, the E30 M3 just doesn't have enough back seat leg room to be a real M car. They'll just say something absurd. And you can just, but this writing, I encourage anybody to read this, because as Brooklyn stated, you could feel like there's one part where he's like, we pull into the pits after going, almost 200 miles an hour, and I can't wipe that stupid grin off my face. And he was like, wipe the grin. This is business, and I just laugh. I'm laughing, I laughed 30 years ago, and I'm laughing now when I read that, because I know the feeling, like when we're on the twisties in the mountains of North Carolina, and we're on the edge of destruction, and we finally stop at our destination, and I get out the car, and I'm just like, I'm all, it's 32 teeth, it's just like, I'm like, oh, let me act like I've been here, and I can't, because it's just so much fun. And that's the same feeling that the author had on that, with Road and Track in 1987. So listen, good stuff. Brooklyn, parting shots.
47 years ago, we read these articles as children, literally as children. We were always car guys. When you interview our parents, you'll realize that we were car guys from birth. And this article really encapsulates not only our automotive enthusiasm, but why, as adults, as grown men, with, thankfully, the resources to drive almost any new car we want, we live for these iconic 80s cars. We have them in our own garages because it was just a great time before the bean counters and the politicians. And this is not a rant. Before things changed, right? Our tagline in our WhatsApp group used to be, no airbags, we die like men. Obviously safety is important. For us, safety third, as always, right? Marine Corps motto, safety third. But these cars, there's just something soulful about them, right? We give them names, they have personalities. You can feel something, right? In this fake, virtual world, we get out and we drive these cars, right? In the case of Adam the Wolf, he drives them all the way across the country to meet up with us, and then we drive some more. So we love these. We drive these cars all the time. I can't even bring myself to buy a car that was created, you know, even during the Clinton administration. Like, we just love the old cars, and the 80s specifically is our sweet spot. And so that's, you know, I could go on and I won't.
I no, please don't go on. That was a that's not a parting shot, that's a parting war. Okay.
Right.
Adam, try to follow that. Tell us, you know, how did you like this article? How did you like this assignment?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate you offering that up for our homework. And I will just simply say that, you know, 40 years ago, this was the best of the best. And I've said this to you all before, and I challenge the cars of today to be this good in 40 years.
Agreed.
Ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Ain't no way.
Impossible.
So yeah, that's what I've got to say. And you know, I think you should live and build your dreams.
Absolutely.
Whatever
like
they
that.
may be.
Yeah, live and build your dreams.
Live and
Right
build
on.
your dreams.
Hey, okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of dreams, you've really got me curious with the turbo on your shirt. So we're gonna have to talk about what cars you're gonna turbo next. All right.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the you guys couldn't see it, but that was his devilish smile there. That's the same grin that they needed to wipe off their face after they pulled into the pits. All right. And listen, this is S38 Fire Team. We're here every week. We try to be here every week. We're out. We're gonna see you guys next time.